Hi, and welcome to CSCMP's Member Mondays. I'm your host, Timothy Pajak, and I'm the Membership Engagement Manager here at CSCMP. We're pleased to have Kavita Kumar, Vice President of Global Sourcing and Supply Chain for Zumba Fitness. Zumba is the largest branded fitness program in the world, with more than 15 million weekly class participants in over 200,000 locations across more than 180 countries. Kavita, welcome.
Thank you, Tim. Glad to
Kavita,
be here.
I want to start by hearing your story of, how you first got interested in supply chain and especially CSCMP. I know you started with a bachelor's degree in political science from the University of Delhi and an MBA from Florida Atlantic. Your careers spanned 25 years in supply chain, e-commerce, retail, distributors, resellers, licensees, all for consumer products in a variety of industries. So tell us what brought you into supply chain.
Sure. Well, I started my career in India. I started as a textile designer, working in a buying house in India. And I think at a very early age of my career, it gave me a great exposure in product development, in sourcing, in operations. And then in '95, I moved to US, and supply chain sourcing was just a natural fit. And since then, and I enjoy every day. As far as the CSCMP, I think I joined in 2016. As I was growing in my career, I wanted to expand my network, wanted to learn more about business practices, and this was a perfect organization to be part of.
Tell us a little bit about your role at Zumba. What's your day-to-day look like?
Yeah, sure. So at Zumba, supply chain at Zumba has a global footprint. So it's sourcing globally around the world to servicing people around the world. So my biggest piece is really how do I manage servicing and maintaining that global network of suppliers, global network of and the consumers. We manufacture and ship products like DVDs, accessories, apparel, footwear. So and all have their own interesting aspects and challenges.
So in terms of some of those challenges, what are some of your biggest challenges that you face in terms of sourcing, and especially, I guess, in light of the pandemic, what kind of pivots have you had to make?
Right. So in terms of challenges, I feel the supply chain is like the least monotonous role. Despite of the best planning you can do, there's always a new challenge, and it is very gratifying because every day is a challenge, every day is a new day, and it's gratifying when your consumers get the product that you're trying to, from sourcing to delivery, they get the product. Especially in Zumba, we're very connected to the consumers. So, and especially in this day and age of technology, you get instant, whether they don't like it or whether they like it, you get instant feedback. So I think the biggest thing is you can never be complacent, and you have to stay vigilant. Those are like two traits that you must have in this in supply chain. Now, as far as last year, and in light of the pandemic, this definitely, as we challenge ourselves to make sure that we maintain our businesses, it's been difficult. We have the only thing that we've always worked is because we work with global suppliers, we've always been working remotely. we are missing the face-to-face interaction, but we've always worked remotely through calls. Our main event where we really connect with them is our summit, annual summit. Other than that, most of the interactions, whether it's Colombia, whether it's Asia, whether it's been remotely. So I think the biggest thing was the communication, like literally quadrupled, where we could have a weekly call. There were times that everybody was on calls every day. And I think it broke a lot of barriers. We learned a lot about each other. We were solving problems much faster. Everybody was going that extra mile because nobody wanted to fail. So I think it was the communication. If there's one thing that I have to say, it was visibility and communication that sometimes we took it for granted in our normal day life. And when COVID hit, I think that's when we really stepped up, and the communication was just off the chart. And that really helped us.
This is fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
In terms of, because you mentioned technology as well, what sort of technologies or trends, or I mean, COVID is obviously a disruptive force, but what sort of technologies or trends do you see are going to have a big impact on supply chain just overall in the next couple of years?
I think if you look at the two sides of the spectrum, the biggest thing is that the consumer behavior has changed, right? It's more convenience. They want more choices. There's more shopping happening, and it's everything needs to be faster. And how do we get to it at the supply chain end from the beginning is, and technology, when I said communication, the visibility, every piece of the chain has to be well connected. The communication has to be faster. Simple things like we created, from managing communication through emails, we all started working on SharePoint, a shared platform. And literally everything, all our data, every information that we needed to have communication, all the files, everything went on SharePoint. So simple things like that really move the needle in terms of that. And then technology online. I think online has become the biggest thing these days, and being in the consumer product, that's really everybody is gravitating towards online for the obvious reasons, and that's where we are building our platforms, and being in fitness industry, since gyms were closed, we offered a lot of online virtual classes, to compensate for the gym. And earlier I mentioned about the communication, that most of our one big collaboration used to happen at a summit that we used to have annually. So we did not stop. We used the technology, and we actually had the virtual summit. So, which is everybody's doing these days. And I think I think technology is now being embraced in every step of the way, from the simplest to really the biggest. So, yeah, I mean, that's definitely a big driver for everyone's success and sustainability.
Great advice for folks throughout the supply chain. You mentioned, in terms of the communication level and the visibility to what's happening. I think a lot of folks will benefit from hearing that, and even outside of the supply chain world too. That's good advice as well. One last question, so in terms of CSCMP, has there been any impactful connection, or maybe an impactful event that you've participated in? Something you'd like to share with viewers of this?
Yes, I think for me, obviously the best practices, I became more active because with everything that was going around the world, whether it was from, in the arena of sourcing, with trade agreements, and or supply chain in general, transportation. I was the newsletters, the updates that we get. I was literally making a point to make sure that I'm on top of everything, and it really helped me. The other thing that really helped me was a lot of webinars. Um, because of the shift in consumer behavior, we have our own e-commerce, and we also sell to brick and mortars and retailers. But we needed to do a shift in the marketplace platform. And I think this organization really helped me because I attended a lot of webinars. Since then, we have partnered with at least 3 people and gone into international markets just with that connectivity. So we attended the seminar, we met with some new partners, and we are actually going live Tuesday with China marketplace. So huge help, huge.
Terrific, terrific. That's all the time we have for today. Kavita, thank you so much for your membership with CSCMP, and appreciate you joining us for this edition of Member Mondays.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Tim.